Boys, step aside, time to let the big dog work his magic.
Fucking introduction, bitch, you already know. Suicide, death row, ride slow-mo in the photo with no woes, kicking it toe-to-toe with the...
Well, I don't know if you guys can tell what we're doing today, but we're looking at the new drone. This is the DJI Agras T50. There was a lot of talk back and forth if it was coming stateside or not. We were kind of left in the dark to, if it was officially going to come stateside. It's been already out for less than a year, so it's had a lot of testing, a lot of design work to go through, and it was graded well enough to come see us. So we are going to be going through with it today. We've got a great review for you. We've got some updates on our truck design. Got several people in that came in to see the design, the demo today. We've got the T50, we've got the T40 just for comparison today. I've not seen this yet. This came in while I was out of town. Grayson, our new pilot, went through it, so I have literally not seen it. I haven't touched it. It's literally drove the truck here with it in the back, and I have not seen it. So you'll get to see my review of it. You'll get to see us fly it. You get to see us actually use it in the field. By the time this comes out, should have a really great design for you, or review for you to use in the field. Instead of just having it, this is what the literature says, and this is what the company says it can do. We will have real world data to show this is what we actually could do in the field with fungicides, with insecticides, with herbicides, with combinations, things like that. So today is pretty much going to be a review of just going through what the information we were given, my initial thoughts of it, my looks over of it, some flights, and we are about to start burn down. So we'll see how it performs during burn down. Have you some more updated information on the acreage we get with it, and we will roll into it with the release. I think April 25th is when this is going to be released in the States. So as you can tell, it's probably a little bit more bleak and cold because it's not the 25th yet. So anyway, all right, so come on in, let's take a look at this box. Else is busy, so I'm gonna I always remember to check your box. They tuck stuff in every little place. I've had clients call me and say, you didn't send this or this. Check this foam insert. Let's see what's in this one. But I always approach from the short arm side, grabbed the very bottom arm support and lift it out. I'm over here by myself, so let's see if I can do that still. I may have to deal with the underside. But that's how I always pull it out of the back of the truck. Grab to the middle here and just lift it straight out. I think it works, kind of. All right. Now, I guess they learned and have put everything on the bottom side, so they quit getting calls too, saying, hey, you didn't put this and this in the box. Oh, it's our charging station. So if you had the T40, you knew yours came in pieces, and we always had to assemble it, put it together. They've got that support wire there that you need to power on. This is designed to be used with a DJI generator. If you do not go that route and you go a different one, you have to use a plug kit to make that work. So, but this already being together is great. I like that a lot better. Assume this is the controller, and it is. Came with a bra, which I don't quit eating as much as I have been. I'm gonna need a real life one, but I always do wear this when I fly. This just keeping your controller right at chest level at all times. Tell people that don't want to do that, okay, fine. If you trust your sensors that much, go right ahead. Don't wear it, but I always wear mine because it takes one stick pull to make it stop. And otherwise, if you see it going for something and you're like, oh, we're gonna leave my controller, then you're running off looking for your controller while your drone crashes into the ground. So I always keep mine chest level and keep it right on me. And I haven't found a better harness than this one, or bra, whichever you want to call it. Okay, one thing about the controller, I did read the T50 and the T25P controller, due to transmission changes, is not compatible with the T40. So we cannot, I guess, swarming is the thing we've been talking about, to where I guess we can't swarm T50s with T40s. We'll try it and see, but we'll have to figure out if you can or can't. Let's let's see, just like, so the T40 could be used with the T30 controller, but that was because those are completely different controllers, so I thought that was kind of a one-off thing. These look exactly the same. I know they have the same shields because I have the shields that go over them, so they're the exact same ones. So I don't know, I assume there's some, surely it's not just software, because you would think it would transcend over to the T40 controller, so maybe there is something different with the actual electronics inside of it. That's way over my head. So let's look at this one. So it's got a different strap mechanism. The 30s didn't really have one. The 40s, we had those little clicky strip ones in the middle. So this has a foam rubber one. So that we're gonna have to probably use the ones we had from the 40, because these are gonna last, I don't know, a week in the field, if that. So I have always used just a big Velcro strap and just thrown it over all of them, and that way I don't restrain just one side together, because this can still pop open if you've got it restrained. But if you restrain the entire drone, all 4 arms and all the props together, it doesn't pop open like that. So these are still one-sided, and like I said, if yours lasts longer than a week, then tell us how. You're probably not spraying. So first thought, let me turn this toward the camera. Boy, that is a coffee can of an RTK unit. I've heard it was bigger, but good God. I mean, size is everything, but I mean, that's huge. I don't know the size difference exactly, but I mean, I'm sure some woman could tell you. But, this all still looks the same. I know the capacity is still 10.5 gallons. The batteries are the same. The weight, I think this is 2 kilograms heavier. I think the takeoff weight is 5 pounds more with this one than was the 40, and it only weighs 2 pounds more. So I don't know the difference of that. I do know our collision unit is, instead of being face straight down, it actually points up, which kind of makes sense, because when you're doing varying gradients and differences and fields and things like that, when the drone would spray, sometimes it would cant and tilt down. And so when it had the front facing binocular vision, I guess for the collision avoidance, I think you were losing a lot of the obstacle avoidance. It was a pretty good ways ahead. So by the time it caught up to something, it actually would crash. Now this is up, I would say, another 20 degrees or so, 20 to 30 degrees. I haven't read the exact specs of this one. I just haven't memorized them. I do know the slide that stuck out was that at 2 gallons per acre, at 32 foot swath, at 32 feet per second, we'll be able to, in theory, do 50 acres per hour. Now, used to, they said flight hour, and that's where there was a lot of confusion. These props are white. Holy smokes, okay. I mean, white. They're white right now. I don't know how long they're gonna stay white, but they're white. I thought that was saran wrap. But anyway, they used to do the flight hour. Flight hour was if you get unlimited battery, unlimited tank, you could get 52 acres an hour. I think what they said with the T40. Now it says at this rate, and then it had a little list that went down from it to where I think it's like at 2.5 gallons at 36 foot swath width and 32 feet per second, you could do 45 acres an hour. And then at 3 gallons, it was down to 4. And then at 5 gallons, it dropped down to 37 acres at 32 feet per second with 32 foot swath. And for fungicides, that's really good. Fungicides, our typical rates are around 5 gallons. That was the thing we always had is we could do a great amount of acres per hour if we were doing really, really low rates. So if we were doing like 2 gallons per acre, we try to live at 2 gallons per acre, ULV, ultra low volume applications. And that's what we try to live at. And anytime we had to go up above that, by the time you mix in all your different chemicals, so much water, we were always over 2.5, closer to 3 gallons per acre. Fungicides, which are typically minimum of 3, almost always 5. When we would do that, it's just like, what are we doing with the drone? And we could get things done, just not an acceptable rate to say, hey, we're an actual, viable alternative. So with these higher rates, that's pretty promising. I don't have those confirmed. I don't have field knowledge of those right now, but we will go from there. The camera still looks the same. I did see the mapping part of this is going to be able to map 33 acres in 10 minutes. The headlights, instead of being vertical or horizontal, which makes more sense as we always sprayed. It's like when we would get close to, now that we have not spraying, when we got close to twilight, when we had to stop spraying, we could see with our headlights, you could only see so many of your props. Now with this, I'm wondering if we'll be able to see like a much wider field of vision from it. So I know the camera's upgraded, the mapping part of it. People ask, what are you mapping with the drone? That's if we're mapping the field to actually map the size of our parameters of the fields that we're actually going to spray. So instead of, using your finger to drop the plot points or using a mapping drone to drop them that way, you use your drone to actually drop your plot points. You're using your drone as your reference point. So in 10 minutes, 33 acres is a pretty good amount. What's the advantage of using the drone to map? Well, you've got your collision avoidance on it. If you get down to the field and something starts alarming at you, this is going to pick up on things that are going to give you issues in the field far better than you can on a controller sitting in your truck, looking at it, mapping the field out, or back in your office looking at a computer screen. So that was the advantage of always using the drones. There were times where it would even pick up little guide wires that I could not see. So that's all I can remember. Right now, I know still 10.5 gallons. The spreading rate is going to be 110 pounds. It's like 19.5 gallon for dry spreading, and it's supposed to have higher and lower gate options and a much higher torque system to prevent the misfeeds we had last year. Looking between the T40 and the T30, everything's bigger. I get it. The arms here are, steel carbon fiber. These do have like bigger clamps on them to close and a little safety clicker in the middle of it for, I guess, like a double lock. And if you didn't know, these props are carbon fiber props as well, to when they strike something, they do splinter and they do not become a hazard themselves. That's something, working with our aviation attorney, we had to look up and see for a specific job when they were too close to operational area. So that's something we actually just recently learned about, even the T40 props. So I know these are as well. The hoses connecting the tank to the sprayers are bigger on these as well. I've always said, keep extra of these because like I've mixed my Liberty too thick and I've had to change that out in the middle of the day and that. So the atomizers, or the pumps are bigger as well. They've got the dual atomizer system that also has an improved solenoid that's able to prevent dripping more. So I haven't seen that yet. That is something we did kind of see with the T40. We'd see it lift up and take off. It's like drip, 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 drip. And we're like, oh, it's dribbling. So we would try to change some things out. It didn't really ever do much. Just some liquids were thinner than others and they dripped out more. And why do we care about that? Well, I mean, that's a safety concern for those ground crews. It flies over us or near someone, can drip chemicals on them that can poison the land. There's all kinds of things that could have caused. So the improved solenoid was a big thing that I saw on this, and I actually not sure that I could see it, but to me I could tell a difference in just the pump portion of that as well. We're gonna put some water here in a sec and we'll do a little test flight. One thing somebody else pointed out, this has the dual binocular vision, so upper and lower. So when I said it just had the front before, that kind of picked up. So I think the angle of view is like 30 degrees bigger or something like that. I'm sure the exact notes will correct me. I cannot think of anything else. The spreading system on it, I did read, so the spraying system is like 4.23 gallons per minute, but you can add on 2 more sprayers or nozzles for the orchard mode, and that's going to get you to like 6.1 or 2 gallons per minute. That's going to be a lot to put out for orchards. I think I've sprayed orchards once or twice. The dry spreader itself, I did see, is like 238 pounds per minute. But if we're still able to carry 110, 120, 110, 120 or so. So you're still going to throw that out in 30 seconds. So I guess have you a real good, dry tender truck close to spread whatever you need to. That's all we got for this one. So now let's get some flights of us, or videos of us flying. So I always remember you have to log in and out of all your accounts like 600 times for it to finally activate the drone right through your controller, everything else. So It's frustrating, keep saying you don't have, or at least for me, it said I didn't own this or have rights to it or whichever. So I thought maybe they locked it where I couldn't do it. So now you get to see
Enable spraying.
sprayers work.
Disable spraying. Aircraft preparing to take off.
A little different.
Stand back at a safe distance. Take off.
So I don't know about y'all, but I feel kind of like those white props you can see less. I think the black and orange was able to see really good.
Enable spraying.
It's manual flying is a lot more responsive. Oh, that's like a dream. That is so much better than the 40. Oh, when we were spraying kudzu in Georgia, this would have been phenomenal. Oh, this is gonna make manual spraying, shout out XAG, so much better. This flies better than my anything. I mean, this flies better than my Mini 4, better than my Matrices. I mean, I kind of feel like it's my, I mean, it's not obviously not my FPV, but it is so responsive. Like there is no lag time. So that, I believe the transmission system fully. I mean, and I'm pretty low on the ground, and normally it would be sending alarms out all the time. I've not hit my alarm once. Just the manual differences alone for me are phenomenal. And I get, not everyone does very much manual spraying with it, but I mean, you're doing a lot of field rows, ditches, you know, like I said, you know, invasive plant species, things like that, that you're just, you know, hitting stuff here and there, and you're just kind of, you know, spraying, praying, kind of running, gunning stuff. This is 10 times better. 10 times better. I mean, if automated spraying is this much better than the automation in the T40, then we really got a phenomenal change this year. I mean, I was honestly skeptical just because of the capacity being the same, but this flight is a dream. Like I've sprayed this entire time. We got 2.9 gallons left. Of course, I also don't thumb my controls. You have to do the little pincer thing, gives you a lot more finer movements with them. But no, that is great. We did put a low battery in it. Enough of a clearance difference to where normally those props would smack me in the shins if I was this close, and I don't think that one even touched me. So, all right, that was really good. I come into the shed that Methuselah built just so we could be shielded from the sun, so my amazing content creator Kayla could see my screen. It's still roughly the same as far as our micron size is when you're in manual mode. I just wanted you to be able to see my flight pattern. I mean, it wasn't straight at all. It was very, you know, circular. Sprayed that all out. It's already landed. Just everybody calm down. But it was so responsive, and like I said, I keep going on and on about manual spraying, but I do a fair bit of that. And for me, there was a lot of frustration. I mean, and you understand the equipment you're working with, you know, it can only do so much. But the flight on this one honestly surprised me. All right, final thoughts. Okay, my mind's been changed a little bit. It was good. Just the manual differences alone of manual flight, the responsiveness was a really good upgrade. We don't have any field data yet. If the field data stands true, okay, we've got a little difference here. But I still stand by this, guys. This is just equipment. This is the equipment is only as good as the person that's trained on it. So there is still so much to this that is just not equipment. It's the licensing, it's the knowledge, it's the legality of it, it's the experience. There's so many things that you have to take into account. Chemical knowledge, safety, operations. So much you have to take into account as well. So while yes, this is new equipment and everyone wants the biggest, best, baddest, newest, I still think you give me a T20, I can outpace people with T40s. Great new equipment doesn't replace practice and experience and well thought out planning operations every day. Anyway, it's been Jonathan with Southern Drone Ops, guys.